How you doing, guys? Today we're going to talk about the front rims on my RJ35. And right now I'm going to show you a picture of very early three-piece front rims that were used on RJ35s at their very early stages of 1955. So here you go. As you can see, they're kind of a weird looking rim. There is a center section which is bolted together. Actually, these shells are welded to the center piece. I'll show you this. I'll show you what I've done thus far in a few seconds. And then there's this outer or two outer rings that bolt to the hub assembly. Now, these rims in general were used on a number of implements during that time period. They all had different center sections based on their application. The rims that I have here, I was actually nice enough, or I was lucky enough, I should say, to acquire from a friend through some trading. These rims actually came off of a sulky, so the hub section was different from the RJ35 hub. Now, this is an original. This is how the center hub section was originally when I took it off the sulky. The bearing races are fairly close together, which wouldn't work with the basically wouldn't work with the spindle of the RJ35. I wasn't going to make any spacers or anything like that. It just would look hokey. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking this over to my buddy's shop and putting it in the lathe, and I lathed or cut the weld off. So that way I could actually remove each one of these shells to get it off the original center section. So I can get these shells off so that way I could make a new center hub. I went to McMaster Car, ordered up the appropriate piece of pipe, the OD and the ID. I did have to machine a little bit on the inside in order to get the roller bearing into place, so that way it would go correctly on the spindle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the halves and basically re-weld them on the new piece of pipe that was machined. If I just move this over just a little bit, you will see that once you put the bearings in it, this thing's all going to line up really nice. And at the end of the day, you won't be able to tell that I modified a sulky center section in order to make these front rims, because essentially what's going to happen is this guy comes over the top of this and goes, let's see if I can do this without, there it is. Yeah, basically in that position. And then there's like 1,000 bolts that need to be cleaned and used. But essentially this thing slides on, it gets all bolted together with the 6 bolts. Then there's 6 outer bolts that hold the tops of the shells together. And basically I'm just going to remake the RJ rim. So at this point, I need to basically weld these shells onto the center section and then sandblast and paint them. I'll paint them the original silver. So I'm going to get involved with the welding, and then we'll see the center sections on the spindle pretty much all set to go. Well, here the hubs are. They're all welded up and pretty much done. I'm just going to shoot them with a little etching primer. I threw them through the glass bead real quick just to clean them all up, but they're all set. They're the right diameter. Everything's centered up pretty nice. I just got to drill it for the grease fitting, which I'll do just before I etch prime them. But here they are. Those are done. Thank God. Actually, they weren't that big of a project. A lot easier than I thought. All right, I'm going to do the outer shells, and then we'll go from there.